Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the island of Tsushima for part 5 of Ghost of Tsushima. I'm saying it like that because that's how Jin says it, with a therapist. I am so glad that you're here. This has been an incredibly popular playthrough, and that's very cool for me to see. Thank you for all the engagement so far. It's been wonderful of you. I hope you continue to engage with the video by leaving a thumbs up and leaving comments and all that sort of thing. It really does make a big difference, and we're seeing that. So a big shout out of appreciation to all of you. If you ever want to watch this live on Twitch, just come hang out with us. The link's down in the description. We'd love to see you. All right. I don't know what we're gonna do tonight. We're gonna wander around and do cool shit, and it should be fun. So, let's see what we got.
Lord Sakai.
Those people need help. I just hope Hanauka can get to them in time. If not...
Who needs help?
A camp of refugees. They're very sick. The healer Hanauka is trying to reach them.
The Mongols have brought that region to its knees. Bandits rule the roads. The healer will need help to get there.
Alright. A lot going on here. Komoda Town. We're gonna make our way over here. Map is big. And that is okay. I kind of want to go to that town over there, though. I'm gonna go see what's up. Let me just trample all your crops with my steed. Oh, shit. All right.
Let's go, Nobu.
Nobu, you stud. Yeah.
I met a group of survivors the other day. They've been seeing more dead Mongols lately.
Who's killing them? Bandits?
I've heard whispers it's a samurai.
A single samurai can't take on the whole Mongol army.
If the rumors are true, perhaps he can.
Yeah, I wouldn't know anything about that. The guy standing right next to you. Wouldn't know. Pretty cool story, huh? Pretty neat.
Yeah.
Dude, it sucks how decimated this area is.
At least if the Mongols is over, we can still pray to the Buddha.
Are you sure?
I heard some monks speaking about it. They were worried we'd be forced to take the Mongols' beliefs.
And why are the paths to the shrines being destroyed?
The better question is, why aren't they destroying the shrines themselves?
Maybe they're afraid to.
Or maybe they actually respect our beliefs.
I'm sure we will find out soon if the monks are right.
Poor Hatsu. She'll likely starve soon.
Who are you speaking of?
A widow, on the outskirts of Tsutsu. She lives alone and has no means of securing food for herself.
I'll check on her.
They'll never take me.
Dude, I am the champion of Tsushima at this point, man. Like, look at me go. Get this man to Asheville. I'll go check on the flooding, and I'll stop it.
I've been searching for them for so long. And I have nothing to show for it.
Why are you so obsessed with her dye?
Clothes of pure white, as if formed from clouds. Or clothes so black, you become one with the shadows.
If we find them and dye our clothes black, I bet we could move more easily at night.
Never thought of it like that. All right, let's find them. Bloody feet. Empty stomach.
I like these random little conversations we come across. All right, Nobu, where you at? Go to where the wind blows. A beautiful morning. Well, what's up, yellow bird? What you got for me? Taking me to where I'm already about to go? Yeah, up this hill. Yep. Whoa, whoa. Alright. Investigate the area. I shall.
So peaceful here. What is this place?
My lord, please go inside. Lord Jinroku will be back soon.
My lord, please stop stepping on my garden. And stealing my linen. My turnips are tarnished. I really do just barge my way through everybody's life, don't I?
I thought you were Lord Jinroku, but you're another samurai. Welcome, my lord.
Another samurai?
You haven't heard of Lord Jinroku? He's a legendary samurai.
I'd like to meet him. When will he return?
Soon. Join us for dinner. Perhaps he'll share one of his grand stories with you.
The other side of honor.
I'm back from my dangerous mission. Don't worry, I'm unharmed. Oh, I wasn't expecting a visitor. We're happy to have you, of course.
Thank
Oh
you.
god. Something tells me you're gonna like this guy.
I didn't realize any other samurai had survived.
It was a fierce battle, wasn't it? The beaches of Komatsu ran red with blood that terrible day.
We fought at Komoda.
Of course. Forgive me, I'm tired from a long ride. Please, have Nabe show you the bath. We can speak more over dinner.
Please follow me, my lord.
Uh-oh, do we got some stolen valor going on here? Mr. Man? I find it a little surprising that Jin doesn't know who this guy is. And I don't think that a samurai really is interested in flaunting the fact that he was on a dangerous mission. Hello, I'm back from the dangerous escapades that I've been engaging in. You wouldn't believe how many bears I had to claw through. It also doesn't really
How
seem
much
like...
do you know of Lord Jinroku?
He tells us everything. If it wasn't for him, we would have lost the whole island.
When you met him, was he armed?
He gave everything to save Tsushima except his horse. It's at the stables.
My bath can wait. I want to look at his horse.
Jin, come on, buddy. Okay. This is gonna be... Alright. My brain is whirring, but I'm gonna hold off until I get a little more info here.
A farm horse. Never seen battle. I know this saddle. It belonged to Lord Higuchi. Jinroku is no samurai. I'll get the truth from him.
Oh boy. I have to imagine that Stolen Valor does not go particularly well with the samurai. So I will be very interested to see the way in which Jin handles this. I mean, it's like the whole, every katana, you know whose it is just because it's got its own personality. I mean, yeah, if you can see the saddle on sight. I mean, I appreciate Jin giving the benefit of the doubt. Oh, maybe there is a samurai I haven't met. Maybe I am still kind of green. But the immediate, the immediate signal that this was off was the dude wanting like recognition and being gregarious about his position. Samurai just that we've met do not do that and do not teach that. Like if you're gonna do this, my guy, you gotta.
Where is Jinroku?
He
He
ran.
left quickly after you went to the bath. It must have been important.
I'll find him.
He knows what's up. Okay, so but here's the scary thing about this. All right, normally this would be something that we would look at and just be like, oh, you know, what a silly guy. What a silly guy. Puts on a costume and says he's a samurai. This is actually incredibly egregious. Because I am under the assumption that despite the fact that Tsushima is a relatively small island, there's no way that everybody knows everybody on the island. And right now, as the island is being decimated by Mongols, and people are terrified, the thing that they're going to turn to are the people that have been a reliable and stable source of confidence over the years, which would be the samurai. And so if these people are relatively isolated and this guy is posing as a samurai, it's incredibly dangerous because these people are apt to believe him if they don't have any kind of representation around what a samurai actually would look like and what their code is or any of this stuff. And you're seeing the way that the people have assimilated their experience of this guy into the, like, oh, it must have been very important. He rode in, he protects us. The whole island is safe because these are all things that actually fit the narrative of what it would be to be a samurai. We just saw that in the town that we were in. Those two guys are like, dude, you hear there's a samurai taking out the whole Mongol army. And it's plausible to them because of the way that we idealize the samurai. And it's actually true. I am kind of decimating the Mongols right now. So the reason it's dangerous is because these people are following a person who has no idea what he's doing. And they don't necessarily know any different. If this guy was in a hut all by himself playing samurai, I'd be less angry about it. But there are people that count on the samurai and will do whatever a samurai says, likely because they believe that the samurai knows their best interest better than they do. And so if this guy's taking advantage of that, he at the very least is smart enough to know that a real samurai is going to sniff that out instantaneously. In the same way that folks in the military can sniff out stolen valor almost immediately. Because there's a language, there's a cadence, there's a system that you've been embedded in and has been bashed into your brain so heavily that there's no way you're going to miss something like knowing what beach you fought on. So, this is going to be real interesting here. You know, whatever reason that guy has for doing this, whether it's personal satiation or whether he wants the people around him to feel comfortable and confident that they're not necessarily in as much danger as they are because he wants to bring them relief. There could be very well good intentions here, but it's dangerous what he's doing. Would it be more acceptable to do this in an effort to give people hope? No, because he can't follow through on it. If he is not a real samurai and does not have the resources of a samurai, does not have the training of a samurai, hope is useless if people follow him into certain death because he's not actually a samurai. Absolutely not. Intentions impact is far outweighed. Potential impact, I would argue, outweighs the intention behind this. Hope is not. Hope is nice, but hope can sometimes distance people from reality. And right now, the circumstance that we're in is this is dangerous. Look at it. I mean, these people are in a very small area with really good vantage points, and there's absolutely no fortification at all. Likely because they feel safe because they have a samurai in their presence. This woman's tending to her garden and is incredibly vulnerable. The Mongols come through here, they're going to decimate this town in 2 seconds. I don't care how much hope you have that the island's going to come to, like, is going to be survivable, that we're going to make it. The Mongols show up to this town, it's over for them. And the Mongols have shown a level of ruthlessness that they're not going to think twice about doing this. They're probably going to sniff out almost immediately that that guy's not a real samurai. So no, you're grifting people essentially in doing this, and you're putting them in massive danger. Like, could we make the argument that these people should be critical of that? Maybe, but we don't know what kind of representation these folks have to go off of. And if this guy's confident enough and sells it well enough, there's no reason to believe that these people would even know how to discern whether a person is a real samurai or not. What's up, boss?
We need to talk.
Oh, shit.
Stop running, you fool!
Oh, baby.
Stop! Before it's too late!
Uh-oh. Dude's quick, I'll give him that.
I don't want to kill you. Stop!
I wasn't hurting anyone.
Not yet. God, he's got a katana and everything.
I challenge you to a duel.
You want to fight me?
Yes, it's the only way.
If that's your wish, I accept.
Really? Okay. Wow.
I don't want to die. I surrender. I'm sorry.
Tell me who you really are.
I'm nobody. I was just trying to survive.
You're impersonating a samurai and bringing dishonor to the name. And you're taking advantage of those women.
I know. Please, my lord, let me live. I'll never go back there again.
Leave. And if I ever see you wearing that armor again, we will finish our duel.
Wow, so we have mercy.
I wasn't hurting anyone.
Fool. I should tell those women the truth.
If I don't own a gun. I never will. But if I owned an assault rifle and I fired 35 assault rifle rounds out of my window right now and didn't hit anybody and nobody died, I could still absolutely get in massive trouble for that. It doesn't matter that nothing bad happened. It's the idea that something very bad absolutely could happen. And if it did, they would be at a massive disadvantage as the result of it. I am actually very surprised that Jin let him go. And I actually think that there's a bit of a misstep there in letting him go. I actually think that it would have been more effective if Jin had said, your ass is coming with me back to the town. And you're going to tell everybody at the town that you are not a real samurai. And the reason for that is because we don't know the extent to which that town is indoctrinated into what that guy sold them. If he is, and I believe that he is based on how much they believe him, if he is the sole piece of representation that those people have for what a samurai is, it means that he got the first impression. And it means that any other interaction they have with a potential or actual samurai is always going to be compared to that first impression. That's just how it works. You only work with the representation you have. So the reason that's a problem is because if Jin goes back to that town right now and says, hey, just so you all know, I'm a real samurai and that guy was a fake, it is not likely that those people are going to immediately go, oh, geez, wow, we got duped? That sucks. Thank God you showed up. That's not how this is going to work. Because those people believe in that guy. So Jin going in there, as far as they're concerned, Jin could be the imposter. Jin could be the fake. Jin could be dangerous. And they're vulnerable because the person that they've put all their stock into protecting them is not present when Jin shows up. Now, hopefully, with some explanation, with some knowledge, some psychoeducation, if you will, Jin will help these people understand what the deal is. But it would be way more powerful to have the person that they believed was the real deal show up and say, I'm not the real deal, I'm an imposter, this is the real deal. And he will protect you. If that guy actually cared about the people in that town, he would also want that. This just goes to show that there was some level of self-indulgence that came from that. So Jin showing mercy there via intimidation, I don't expect that he necessarily thinks about things the way that I do, but I do believe that's a bit of a misstep as a result of that. I don't know that killing him solves anything, but I don't think just letting him run away solves anything either. Get that guy to own up to it. Get that guy to start, because he could run away and still engage with the fact that, like, internally that he's a samurai. If you get that guy to have to start publicly denouncing his own samurai ship, that's where some real powerful change can come from an identity perspective. Yeah, and make him leave the armor. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole mission around this is actually quite fascinating in that regard, because there are actual legitimate implications for the fact that that dude is doing that. All right, this is one of the moments where your boy DrMick would love to consult with game developers, because as I said back in the field, I truly believe that the legitimate, most realistic way that this would go down is that Jin shows up in this abode and says that guy wasn't real, and would be met with resistance. Because that is psychologically what would make sense. So let's see.
Lord Sakai, welcome back.
They do know that I'm
wasn't
Lord
the man
Sakai.
you thought. He wasn't a samurai at all.
Ah, he told you the truth.
You
Oh.
knew he was lying?
He seemed harmless, and we enjoy having him around.
Okay, that works too. That works too. I'm fine with that. They knew. Cool.
I hope you didn't kill him.
He's alive, but he won't be coming back.
I'll tell the others he left on an important mission.
Oh,
We
no.
were fine without him. We will be again.
Ooh, I don't know that I love that. I am all for placation of that if everybody is in on it. Even that's a little bit weird, but it's at least more palatable. I don't love that that is used as another means to secure some degree of power over the people in this town. People deserve accurate representation. These folks should have the opportunity to discern reality from grift. These people are clearly susceptible to misrepresentation of authority. This would be a beautiful opportunity to be like, hey, those of you that were in on it, cat's out of the bag. Those of you who didn't understand this, Lord Sakai just showed up here. He is a legitimate samurai. This other guy is not. Some of us knew and we played along, but for those of you that may have wondered if that's actually what a samurai is like, it is not. People like Lord Sakai are the ones who protect us and can legitimately, or at least are the most likely to be able to stave off the Mongols. And we all need to be on the same page about this. By not disclosing this information to the people in the town who don't know any different, she is assuming some power because she has information that other people do not have. In fact, the information other people have is in a misrepresentation, which is arguably worse than no representation. So I don't like that there's a power dynamic that's being maintained within that withholding of information. That's where I'm a bit stuck. Like if I'm Jin here, I'm like, hey, everybody here, just so you know, the dude wasn't a real samurai. I'm a real samurai. There are other real samurai like me that are around and are protecting you and are working to do this. Super interesting. Everybody has to be in on that. Everybody has to be in on that. Because these people are vulnerable. This isn't like these people are susceptible to attack at any moment. That's why this is so icky. It's dangerous. And if the reason you don't disclose this to these people is because you don't want them to feel like idiots, that's not actually the reality. The reality is that dude grifted you. And in some ways, these people are in on the grift. You've actively been grifted by me because I didn't disclose this to you. I knew he wasn't real and I haven't told you and you thought it was. That's not cool. You gotta have trust in your community around this. I'm so bothered by this. Oh my gosh. It's exactly right. Yes, thank you. That is part of what I wanted to say as well. Like these, okay, yeah, he went off on an important mission. That holds in to these people's minds several things. First thing is, oh, he's actually a samurai. And so my representation of what a samurai is real. Two, him off doing something important means that if he needs to come back and protect us, he's thinking of us at all times. So he will come back and he will help. Which means that if things are going south and these people are getting attacked or they see the Mongols coming, they're likely to say, he's going to come help us. Jinroku will show up here and will protect us, so hold the line. Instead of running, if that's what they need to do. These people have a expectation around this guy that is not connected to reality. And that is bad. Ugh. Ugh. And yeah, they should be mad at the ones who knew. So here's how you handle this, okay? If you're her, the way that you handle this is you own up to it. You acknowledge the anger. You say, I realize that some of you may be very upset by the fact that you were duped by this guy and that maybe the fact that we knew, you feel like we were complicit in it. And that's not wrong. And the reason that we're disclosing this now is because times are dangerous and it's important that we're all on the same page and we're willing to own up to it. You take accountability. Let people be mad at you. The idea that people being mad at you is the problem is a problem. They get to be angry.
You got here. Act no.
After you win a standoff, additional enemies will rush you. Wait until the charging enemy swings their weapon, then attack. Wait, why am I fighting? Why? Okay, so these people are all fighting, and then I'm also fighting. Okay, I'm just fighting everybody. Okay. What shall we meditate on? My code? Sensei Ishikawa. My code.
People look to samurai for guidance, to keep them safe, and act with honor, on and off the battlefield. I can't forget that.
Important reminder, Jin. I have power, and I need to understand that power and wield it responsibly. Great. Ooh, what is this place? Is that a Mongol camp? Appears that it might be. Oh boy. Yep. Rub some dirt on it, Jin. Abandoned Mongol camp? Komatsu Prefecture. Hello.
There's a man, my lord, swinging his sword, slashing the air on the beaches of Sutsu.
Another survivor? Or a bandit?
I don't know, but I think he was crying.
It's a long way away from where we currently are.
Wanted to kill the bastard, but I couldn't.
I just want your supplies. And your bamboo and all that stuff. Okay. Undiscovered location. Let's go there, and then we'll go do the mission that's over there. What do we have up here? You've arrived at your track location, Plum Blossom Shrine. Oh, cool, another shrine. Love it. Let's go. Oh. Yeesh. Okay. All right, Jin, let's go. Yeah. Oh, baby. Oh, this would be so scary. What's this? Honor the shrine. Hell yeah. Jeez. Charm of Tsuchi. Charm of the Kami of Fire. Deal bonus damage while at 50% health or like. Oh, cool. So it's like a gold version of some of these other guys that we have. Moderately reduces. Oh, see. Okay, cool. So moderately reduces. Oh. Okay. I see. I guess I like that one more. That. And then we do that. Cool. Love it. Oh, man. Look at that. Oy, yay. Come on. Also, the draw distance. Get out of here. Oh. Oh. Is this dude dead? There is nothing left for me here. My family is dead. My home is burnt. My hope is lost. To any who read this, keep Genzo of Komatsu Forge in your prayers. Farewell. Dang. Oh. Yeah, his knife's out. Dang. I hope that you will listen to the words that I'm about to say, but I do want to give a heads up that if suicide is a sensitive topic for you, you may want to skip ahead a little bit because we're gonna talk about suicide, particularly suicide in this context. And I will say that if you're interested in a more in-depth discussion from me about suicide, I have a video on YouTube called The Conversation About Suicide, and I hope you'll watch that. I kind of talk about suicide from like a professional and a personal standpoint. As somebody who worked on a suicide hotline for 3 years, and obviously suicidal ideation is something that comes across as part of being a therapist. I think it is deeply important for us to take context into account whenever we look at something like suicide, whether in a video game or in real life. And there is a tendency to really heavily stigmatize suicide as being something that is selfish and is just abhorrent. Some religions have gone so far as to call suicide a sin, or you'll like go to hell if you do it. And suicide is a very complicated thing. From what we understand currently, humans are the only species of animal that we can concretely see actively take steps to end their own life as a means of like ending suffering that other animals don't. There have been some close approximations that were very specific contexts, but as far as we can tell, humans are the only ones who can articulate and show intent. And we struggle with that idea because humans place meaning around things like death, and humans also have a hard time dealing with the complexity of the nature of the way in which somebody would decide to end their own life. Generally, not always, but generally, the reason that people make the decision to end their own life is because it seems like the only option, as was articulated by this guy in this note that he left behind. That there is a profound sense of hopelessness, that the pain, the suffering, the circumstances that you are within and dealing with have no other way of ending beyond your own existence ending, that you no longer want to consciously bear the weight of what's around you. And oftentimes when I would be on the suicide hotline and talk to folks who were struggling with suicide, with suicidal ideation, what they would say inevitably is that they don't see any other options for how to end or manage the thing that's going on. Now, the context piece of this. This guy is on an island that has been raided by Mongols who have shown themselves to be ruthless. He's lost all of the people in his life that he has any kind of meaningful connection with. The land that he is on is being decimated by people he has absolutely no connection to. And at any point in time, he's in danger. The lost sense of control in that would be unbelievably profound. For some, traumatic. And if death becomes something that seems like an inevitability by the hands of people you don't know and can't control, you don't know whether you'll be tortured, you don't know whether you'll be enslaved, you don't know whether your entire autonomy will be stripped, In some ways, you might think to yourself, boy, I'd actually prefer to die. I would prefer if a Mongol came up behind me and stabbed me in the brain, because I don't want to be shipped off into indentured servitude, or I don't want to live the rest of my days alone because all the people in my life are gone. One of the things you may wish to do is exert control. That the only way out of that is to end your own life, and that there's dignity in ending it in your own way, rather than having it happen by the hands of somebody else. Not everybody in the world shares the same view of death that the samurai do. That you look a person in the eyes and you kill them and it's honorable. So this guy climbing to this space, taking a look out over an ocean that's filled with a bunch of boats of people who have absolutely no interest in engaging with his humanity, and deciding, you know what, I don't have anyone, I don't have anything, and I do not want to die by the hands of another person, so I'm going to do it myself, I think in some ways is respectable. Doesn't really sound selfish when you put it that way. It sounds merciful to one's own experience. In some ways, it even sounds compassionate. And I know that might sound weird. Likely because some of us, in having this conversation, are battling a sense of stigma around that. Being left to pick... This guy doesn't have anybody in his life left to pick up the pieces of this. His family's not going to find him here. I found him here. I found his note. And yes, keeping in mind the ways in which his suicide may be discovered, I think is an important part of the consideration. I'm not trying to act like it wouldn't be traumatizing to see somebody in your life kill themselves, like, or to walk in and see their body. Like, I'm not trying to dismiss that. But there is a much more nuanced conversation to have about the autonomy that one may exert in ending their own life and deciding when that's done. We have a tendency to get a little bit too oversimplified with that. Usually see it as just bad, no matter what, rather than looking into the nuance around why people may engage in that particular way of ending their own suffering. And at what point is it something that's actually merciful? And the thing that person would say, you know what, I actually think that was the best thing for me, if they could look back on it with hindsight. Most of us know somebody or are affiliated with somebody or are aware of somebody in our lives who have ended their own life. And there's a complex grief that comes around that. And it's sad that anybody, to me, the sad thing is that anybody would suffer so much that they see ending their own life as the only option out of it. Sometimes having somebody, if Jin comes up here and there's some kind of connection that he makes with this person, that may be enough to get that person to say, you know what, I felt this connection, this samurai showed up at this site where I was planning to end my life, and I felt connection, and I felt hope, and I actually do think maybe this is something that can be salvaged. That would be a wonderful thing. We didn't get here in time. He didn't have that connection. And he had a hell of a view as his final recording. And to anybody who, as a closing point on this, to anybody who has this view that suicide is something that is selfish, I will tell you that having talked to many people who are at varying level of degrees of readiness, I would argue that often suicide is something that is seen more by the person who's thinking about ending their own life as a selfless act. I am a burden to the people around me. I'm doing people a favor. I heard many people say these very words over the phone when I was the person listening to them. I'd be doing everyone a favor if I just would end my own life and get away from all of it. I don't want to burden people anymore. So, take that for what it's worth. Appreciate your willingness to engage in the conversation. I realize it's not a very fun topic, but it is one that in my streams in particular, we do talk about openly, and I think it's important to do that because talking about suicide is, in some ways, a way to prevent it. And just to be clear, I'm not like pro-suicide. I'm pro understanding the nuanced conversation around suicide. had people in comments before be like, well, what are you saying? People should kill themselves? Like, no. It's not. It's not. You're that simplified in your view of it and thinking that that's what I'm saying. I hope you go back and rewatch what I just said and also, like, expand your horizons. It's worth it. Alright. I'm not trying to sound too preachy, but it's something I'm very passionate about. Oh, God. I mean, this sucks, man. This island blows right now. It's beautiful, but, like, these are... If we're RPing this, these are people's lives, man. This guy's in a freaking lean-to on the side of a mountain. Probably terrified that at any point in time the Mongols are going to show up and just kill him like they did his family. Be awful. Awful way to live. In constant fear of death. Anyway, I appreciate that you're all here. And I thank you for your willingness to engage with my content. And from one human to another, whatever circumstance it is that you may be dealing with, I'm glad you're here. Golden Forest is so cool. I mean, maybe the Mongols just want this place because it's so pretty. They just want pretty things to look at. Like, is Mongolia just cornfields? Just flat? Is Mongolia Iowa? Because, I mean, I'm from Indiana, so I could I guess understand that. I grew up looking at soybeans every one year and then corn for 2, and just they're just like, man, we're so tired of staring at corn. Just because my computer's been squirrely tonight. Say the island is pretty haunting at night. That wind blowing through and oh, what's up, man?
Calm down. Who's been taken?
The invaders took our house. Down the road. My wife is there. With my son.
You left your family behind?
What choice did I have? I'm no warrior.
Oh.
Jin, come on, man. I'm gonna hold Jin to a high standard because he's a samurai, alright? I don't want to see a whole bunch of Jin apologists in my comments because I'm critical of the way in which he shows up in some of these moments, alright? The dude has power, he's a samurai, people rely on him. He's done 2 things wrong in this moment, okay? First thing is, if you're in a position of power and protection and somebody runs up to you and is panicked about something that you could potentially help with, saying, calm down, in the history of my existence, not one time, personally or professionally, have I ever seen the words calm down calm somebody down when they're panicking. It doesn't work. It's mind-blowing to me how often so many of us say this when we see people who are panicked. Right? It's like, if I could do that, I would. The reality is you can do that, but it requires strategies that are maybe not as immediate working if you are in an acute stress moment. God, what a terrible sentence, but I think you know what I mean. It just doesn't work. Jin, you could say that to Jin. You could say that to Jin because he's a samurai. Okay? Like, his uncle, if Jin's getting all emotional and shit, could say, Jin, calm down, you're a goddamn samurai. And it works because it's part of their code and it's part of something that Jin has actively consented to. But when you tell a layperson to calm down when they're panicking, you are already off to a terrible start. It is invalidating. Instead, you want to engage with that authentically. Tell me what's going on. How can I be of assistance? And then when the guy's like, I need help, they're attacking my family, and Jin's like, you left your family? Like, yeah, I'm not a warrior, dude. I don't carry a katana. I got, like, silk on that cost a lot of money that I worked hard for. And I happened to find it at TJ Maxx where I could afford it because I couldn't afford to get it at Burberry. That's all I got, man. It doesn't protect me from Mongol steel. So yeah, when I am aware that there are people on the island, like the samurai or the police, so to speak, and I go to them for help, I expect that those are the people who possess the capacity to help me. I don't own a gun. Somebody's breaking into my house. I don't own a gun, but I know that police have them. I'm calling police. Like, I'm going to go find a samurai who can help my family. Like, why are you judging me for that? Isn't that the entire point of your existence, is to help me out? All right, now to be fair to Jin, though, all right, like if we go the holistic way in our analysis of this, if we go to the Jin route, why would Jin do that? Why would he say these things? I don't think Jin has had a particularly broad spectrum of engagement with the human condition. What I mean by that is that, like, Jin is a lord. He's a samurai. He has been surrounded by a very insular bubble of people, as far as I know, throughout his life. If everybody you're around is a samurai, even a monochrome of being effusive is going to seem like an emotional outburst. So his relativity on this, I think, is part of what creates this issue. If he's generally around people who stay home and protect their families because they possess the skills to do so and are people that are not particularly effusive with their emotions, then he is going to see this as anomalous in some kind of way, as opposed to really, I think, more connected to what the generalized human experience would be on the island of Tsushima getting raided by the Mongols. So I also think, if you want to go intrapsychic on this, meaning diving deep into Jin's own, like, personal individual psychology around this, I think Jin probably still has a degree of splitting with emotional expression that is connected to the fact that he is a pretty emotional guy. But in order for him to maintain his code and the role that he has in his life, he has to shut that down in the ways that the samurai have taught him to do. And I've talked about splitting in some of my other playthroughs. I'll give the brief of it here. It comes from object relations theory. And it's the idea that what we tend to do is we take certain qualities or traits and we oversimplify them. And we tend to split them into the manifestation of good or bad. So if this case, if we talk about emotional expression, what we would look at is Jin has learned emotional expression bad, keep it locked down good. But Jin is a pretty emotional guy. So from a samurai's point of view, Jin express bad, keep calm good. And so there's a bit of a tension between who you are and what you believe you're supposed to be there. So if this guy comes up to Jin and he is emotionally expressive in a way that all of us would say completely makes sense, Jin is likely to lock himself up good and split that expression as expression bad. So this guy is a problem, and I have to maintain a level of, I got to lock it down here, and I got to teach this guy to lock it down here, because if I don't teach this guy to lock it down, then we're dealing with something bad when that may not actually be the case. Not everybody here was trained to control their emotions in the way that you did, and that doesn't make him bad. It makes him human, which is where you need to take context into account. And I don't know how well Jin is able to do that given the way that he was brought up. So there's a shitload of complexity that goes into this one very simple engagement, and the very first 2 or 3 sentences that Jin says to this guy in response to the fact that he's freaking out about something that he has every right to freak out about. Why is there an idea in general that other people should be fully capable to do things physically or mentally just because we can do them? Because if we're not careful, we tend to inductively reason our way through the world. If you've put the work in to do something, there can be a frustration around the fact that other people haven't, and you may see them as resistant to doing that work as opposed to not ever having the opportunity to do so. It's because we're limited in our empathic capacity is the real answer to that. Like we love to believe that we can just empathize with anything if given the right circumstance and whatnot, but it's too limiting. Like going full deductive on everything is really hard. So humans will often default to their own internal experience as a way to fill in the blanks on the experiences that come to them that don't have full context. It's not like this guy had a book written about him where Jin has read that book and when he comes up to him, he knows exactly what to do. Jin's going to make sense of this guy's expression based on his own internal experience because that's the easiest template we have. And if you don't engage a level of thoughtfulness around this, you're just as likely to do the same. We all are, even me, a therapist. I'm apt to do this as well. It's just easier that way.
Help them. Stay here.
Place to call home. Oh God, I hope that's not them. Rescue the family from the Mongols.
Here.
Oh look, it's populated all of a sudden. We got archers. Oh, shit. Oh, there they are. Dude, how ballin' is that? I like end that guy suffering in front of his friends. That's some gangster shit. Stupid tree.
mentioned a wife and child. No sign of the family here. Maybe outside. Laundry. Still damp. The attack was sudden. Bodies were dragged.
Oh
Thrown
boy.
in the water. A lot of blood. Someone was killed here.
Really hope this dude's wife is a total badass.
A child's toy. His family didn't survive. I should let him know.
I appreciate that the game's willing to go here. Boy, this pulls on the heartstrings, man. I hope that nobody watching this ever has to be in this kind of position. And what I mean by this is that, like, you have really devastating information and you're the person that's to deliver it. I realize that folks that work in the medical profession often have to do this, you know, like surgeons and stuff. Brutal, man. Hopefully that's her. I don't know, though. Look, all right, here's the thing. Regardless of whether this woman is still alive or not, if we do have to deliver this message, the best that you can do is be empathic. But you also got to be direct. There is a tendency for people to get so uncomfortable in a moment like this that they may try to manage the discomfort, the sadness, the heaviness, while also delivering the information. It is so important that you deliver the news first and then respond to the reaction. You do not want to try to curate a particular response. You don't want to try to soften the blow. There's a tendency when people have to deliver bad news to put a bunch of qualifiers and disclaimers in front of it and to put a bunch of context and stuff. You know, if Jin's like, I looked around and I saw on the rocks and there was blood and there was all this stuff and I don't really know how to tell you this. I realize it's really hard, but your family is dead. That's not good. When you walk up, you go, you know, hey man, I hate to have to deliver this news, but from what I can tell, I don't think your family made it. That's it. That's it. And you let the guy react. The guy's sad, or he's angry, or distressed, or whatever it is, you're present with it. You let that be what it is. It is not your responsibility to manage it on his behalf, especially not preemptively. You can do it warmly. You can do it empathically. It doesn't have to be cold and calculated. Keep it simple. Be direct.
My lord, did you find them?
Your family was killed. I'm sorry.
Why didn't you save them? I ran. Like a coward. I should be dead too.
It's not your fault. Don't let their deaths be in vain. Resist the invaders. Help those in need.
Yes, my lord.
Oh, man. It's heavy. It's heavy, man. There's a reason before this interaction that I really wanted to emphasize. You let the reaction be what it is. And you don't personalize it. When he says immediately, you didn't save them, it's not a shot at Jin. Jin takes that personally and defends himself. It's a worthless endeavor. This guy is actively having to process something that was likely unfathomable to him 3 weeks ago. And the most immediate part of the process for him is Jin's intervention. Jin is the proxy for the bad news. He is the messenger. And because that guy has nowhere else to send that energy, he's going to send it to Jin. Of course he is. He saw himself as somebody who didn't have the ability to save his family. He saw Jin as somebody who did have the ability to save his family, and he made the assumption, understandably so, but with hope, that Jin would save his family. And Jin did not. So his very first reaction, aside from probably being devastated and sad, is to be angry that the person he believed had the ability to influence the thing that he just had dropped on him was unable to exert that influence. It's understandable. And Jin staying silent there is awesome. It is exactly what he should have done. And then, unfortunately, we see this man go to the next spot that people unfortunately have a tendency to go to, which is over-personalization and a overinflated sense of control over that situation. I ran. I'm a coward. It's my fault. It's not your fault. Jin's correct. It's not your fault. It's the fault of the Mongols. Be mad at the Mongols. Your wife and child don't get dragged away and killed if the Mongols don't drag them away and kill them. It's not because you bailed on them. You probably would have been one of them. Which leads to the third thing that's happening here, which is something that we see in a lot of places, and many of you may be familiar with this, may have even experienced it yourself, which is something called Survivor's Guilt. Which is the idea that the fact that you are still around after something that may have taken other people out, that's something that you're supposed to feel badly about. That's unfair. Some ways, sometimes it is. That fairness doesn't really have a place in reality. Just to be honest, it's just not really how life works. The idea that because he ran, because he's going to have to deal with a lifelong sense, an association of the idea that the reason he survived is because he was a coward. Which is already unfair to him. To call himself a coward because he ran away from people who could kill him is ridiculous. The dude is only a coward insofar as you have like a samurai view of him. And that guy's not a samurai. That guy's a dad who lives in a riverside home with no expectation that he's going to have people come in and bombard that place and kill his wife and kid. Running away from that as is shown by survival being the ultimate reinforcement mechanism of this, is what kept him alive. It was the smart survival strategy. He may wish that his wife and kid ran with him. I get that. But he's going to deal with a sense of dissonance around this for a very long time. I have to deal with the fact that my wife and child are no longer alive, which is painful. Life is pain right now because I almost would rather be dead, because then I wouldn't have to experience the death. I wouldn't have to experience the sadness. Perhaps this leads him to end up like the guy on the mountain that we talked about a half hour ago. But the idea that you should not have survived because other people didn't survive, and somehow you are an asshole for being alive, or that you are less than, or that you're to be judged, it's unfair. That's unfair. If you had a really severe illness that has a very low survival rate and you managed to survive it, if a building you were in was on fire and you got out and very few others did, maybe you got lucky. Circumstances dictated that you won the roll of the dice. That is not something to judge yourself for. That's not something, and that's what guilt is. Guilt is a judgment. Guilt is not an emotion. Guilt's a story you tell yourself. And it often, you can't talk about guilt without saying the word should. I should be dead, or I shouldn't be the one who survived this. That's a judgment. It's not a feeling. So, unfortunately, this guy, I appreciate that Jin was willing to get down on his level, that he's willing to be present with that guy's experience. And I also think it's very helpful that Jin was willing to give him some direction in that time of need. Hey, let's take this energy and let's channel it into something you can control. We can't bring them back, but refocus, my friend. The last thing that I want to say about survivor's guilt, because I think this is something that's going to connect with a lot of people, is that you have to be mindful not to be the perpetuant of that narrative. This is going to sound weird to say, but guilt is not something that hits you. It's not something that you pick up and carry along the way inadvertently. You don't catch it from the air. A circumstance doesn't drive it into your brain. You indulge it. You perpetuate it. You craft and maintain the narrative that suggests that you being alive while others aren't is unfair. That's a decision cognitively that you're making on how you frame the situation. If this guy continues to say it's not fair that I'm alive, I should be dead, they should be alive, I'm an asshole for running, I'm an asshole for surviving, something's wrong with me, or this is a problem. Those are all narratives that that guy is creating, engaging, perpetuating, and keeping into reality. And at any point in time, he could choose to change that. And often the argument to that is, well, that seems awful selfish. It is not. It is likely more in touch with the reality of the situation. You ran, you survived. You happened to be in the right place at the right time when something really bad happened. And you survived because of it. And if you're going to and use that survival to live, rather than continuing to bring yourself close to the death that you managed to cheat. That is something that you have the power to alter if it is something that you struggle with. And that's the kind of thing I'd say to this guy sitting on this dock right now. Hard to get that in there. I'm sure that there are people that are going to listen to me say that in this playthrough and disagree or feel uncomfortable or get mad at me for saying it. And that's okay. But that's how it works. I'm sure his wife and child would have wanted him to survive as much as he wanted them to survive. Unless he's just like a total douche canoe. But I don't get a sense that he is. God, what a heavy night. Holy hell. I appreciate that the game devs were not afraid to go there with the context. I'm so glad that as much as it's painful to go through this stuff, it's real. It's not like if every time we came across something like this, we find the wife and child and she's good and she's survived and she's a total badass and we reunite the family. That's unfortunately not the reality of the time we're in. Oh. Appreciate y'all being here. I know I'm talking a lot tonight. I also know that's why you watch. And I just want to reiterate, I'm but one person. I am but one perspective. I am not all omniscient and knowing. I am not, my perspective is not the objective truth. I offer but one perspective, albeit informed in some ways, but, you know, I appreciate that you care about what I have to say. All right, what's up? Oh, what a, oh shit, I'm so sorry about your horse. All right, the horse is fine. I don't really want to needlessly kill the horse if I can help it. Whoa. John and Pixels, thank you very much for the sub. I appreciate that a lot.
Ready?
All right. Still can't quite get over the fact that that woman was like, "Oh, I know that guy's a fake samurai." That just keeps bouncing in my head. Like, really? Another shrine? Where are you taking me, birdie? Oh no, your cat's been Pavlov's, man. Mountain View Hot Spring. I'm all in. I could use a hot spring. After how heavy this has been. This really does feel like when I was Aloy in Horizon. I was like, nah, I'm gonna go there on foot. We got a long mountain to climb, Jin. Golden Summit Shrine. Oh my god. Yes. Yes. Look at that. Goodness. Oh. I really would love it if there's like one shrine that looks super daunting and then it's like just really straightforward. You're like, oh man, this is gonna be quite the traversal, and then it's like, no, you're good. You just, somebody put a rope bridge up. You're good, Jin. Reminds me of Firewatch with the long stretches of trail. That's a game that I really wish I had played in this format. I have a playthrough of that on YouTube for anybody who's interested. But it is a different format. It's the old style DrMick. Ooh, alright. We got here. How we doing this? Going down here. Oh. Ooh. Alright. I mean, somebody obviously wanted us to traverse it this way. Another lean-to here. It's just, come on. I mean, I don't even need to say anything anymore. Ezio would be looking for a haystack down below there. Charm of Amaterasu. Killing enemies restores a moderate amount of health. Cool. I like that Jin somehow manages to carry all these pots so that he can honor these shrines. Oh my god. Jeez Louise, man. Well, Lady Masako awaits us in part 6. This was a pretty heavy episode, so now that we did that beautiful shrine, I want to give us a chance to breathe. This feels like a pretty good place to stop. So I would just like to say how much I appreciate that you've made it to the end of this video. If you needed to take care of yourself at some point through it, I totally understand. If you made it through the conversations, I certainly appreciate your viewership and engagement on that. Would love it if you leave a thumbs up on the stream and leave a comment down below if you have any thoughts on anything that we talked about in this episode. I'm very grateful that so many of you are taking the time out of your lives to watch this. I know that there are many of you who are watching this who've played this game several times. There's some of you that are allowing me to be your first foray into it. Regardless of how it is that you're engaging with this or in what context, I am very grateful for your presence. So whether you're watching this as they come out or years into the future, I appreciate you immensely. And I hope you continue to come back for this playthrough and for all the others that are on my channel. If you are binging, I will see you in the next episode. And we will go do some cool main questy stuff. If you're waiting for the next episode to come out, I'll get it out to you as soon as we can. You matter. I appreciate you. And I will see you in the next one.